Does transitioning actually stop hair loss completely? And this is a fascinating topic, right? Because one would assume lower testosterone, higher estrogen, sure, that is a favorable environment for hair loss to stop and reverse, and we would get all our hair back. But there's nuances to it. And after a recent question that popped into the comment section, a big thank you to Attila Kezi. I hope I've pronounced that right. Please call me out if I haven't and correct me. But thank you so much for your question on this topic around whether or not estrogen and cyperone acetate would stop or reverse hair loss completely in those who are transitioning. Well, in today's video, we are going to discuss the nuances of hair restoration in those who are transitioning either from the biological male to female form or biological female to male form. We will discuss what the literature is, if any, about the stacks that can be used for these patients. And then we'll also discuss what additional measures might be taken to improve the hairlines of those who are transitioning. So if we haven't already connected, I'm Dr. Jonathan Hopkirk, Sydney-based hair loss doctor and co-founder of Levels of You, an Australian-based hair restoration company that treats people across Australia on a daily basis. And I'm also someone that's gone through a 10-year hair loss journey myself. So before we kick into this topic, it's really important to dig into a little bit of context around the nuances of patients who are transitioning with respect to hair. Now, in a biological male who is transitioning to the female form with hormone therapy, things that are actually in their favor with respect to their hair is that some of the unwanted side effects with hormone blocking agents and antiandrogens that we would usually want to avoid in a male who doesn't want to feminize, well, those are actually a positive thing for transitioning men because feminization of their features is actually a favorable outcome. So then that opens you up to a bunch of medications that you can use in these patients, and you can also use them at higher doses. But then on the flip side, patients that are transitioning from being biologically female to male, things like unwanted body hair, unwanted hair growth in areas that you don't want it, these are things that we want to avoid. So therefore, that would then modify how you're going to treat that patient's hairline because you want to be mindful of those other unwanted side effects. So the positive effects and unwanted effects of hair loss medications in conjunction with hormone therapy is a really important thing to consider when treating patients in this context. We also then have to think about the fact that while for a biological female who has enjoyed a really nice full head of hair, you're going to have to counsel and prime them for the fact that when they are taking testosterone, if they have an underlying androgenic alopecia predisposition by way of the genetics, you add testosterone into the mix, well, it's potentially going to pour gasoline on the androgenic alopecia fire and expedite that hair loss process. So their hair is more likely, and I've read in some studies, 2.5 times more likely to suffer androgenic alopecia related hair loss than a biological female who's not transitioning. So you have to counsel patients that they're likely going to experience quite significant changes in their scalp, and that can be quite burdensome for someone who is already potentially going through quite a vulnerable journey with respect to changes to their body. And then the last thing I'll say with respect to context and background on this topic is when you start the transition is really important with respect to where you are on your hair loss journey. If someone transitions at a younger age, the likelihood is, and statistics would favor, that the miniaturization of the follicles on their hair would be in the early stages. Now, everyone's different, so I can't say that as a blanket rule, but we know that much lower number of people in their 20s have male or female pattern hair loss than those in their 40s or 50s. So if you are transitioning at a younger age, you're likely going to have a better chance of maintaining that hairline versus if you were transitioning at a later age. It's going to be much harder to restore miniaturized follicles that have been switched off for a long number of years. And that's something that we'll dig into today as well. So there's a little bit of background. Now let's jump in and tackle this question head on. Is estrogen plus cyperone acetate enough to fully reverse hair loss in transitioning patients? So do they need a hair transplant or other mechanisms to fully restore that hairline? So let's get a better understanding around what these two agents do first. So estrogen, it can help prolong the length of the anagen phase of the hair growth cycle. And it can also reduce follicular miniaturization signals. And cyperone acetate is a commonly used antiandrogen, so it's a potent antiandrogen. So it will block androgen receptors and it will suppress testosterone production. So the combination of these two can suppress testosterone by about 95% in the system. So then what you're essentially doing is you're reducing that androgen, that DHT signal, which we know is really important with respect to androgenic alopecia. Less DHT, less of a signal, less miniaturization of the follicle from that point on. It's an important thing to note. And you're creating less of a hostile environment for hair follicles. However, even though you're lowering testosterone, you're lowering that trigger of miniaturization of the hair follicles, like what we know is the underlying thing with respect to androgenic alopecia, you are not reversing miniaturization. So you're not taking those follicles back in time and reversing the effects of miniaturization in those follicles that have already miniaturized. You're not achieving that with hormone therapy, and especially not this cocktail here. So you're not winding the clock back on dormant follicles, and especially dormant follicles that have been dormant for more than 2 years plus. So dependent on what stage of hair loss the individual is in, they're likely going to achieve some thickening of the hair, and they might see slight restoration and improved quality of the hair. And with respect to the transplant part of this question, I'll dig into that in just a couple of minutes, because what I want to do before that is talk about other stacks in the literature on patients who are transitioning and what stacks that they would use to try to address hair loss. Now, unfortunately, the evidence is very scarce with respect to hair loss in transitioning patients. We have seen anecdotal and case reports reported online. Now, common feminizing regimens that have been reported online is things like estrogen plus spironolactone, the antiandrogen or DHT receptor blocker, things like bicalutamide, another antiandrogen, and the cypronate acetate as we discussed before. And basically the goal of using these stacks is to suppress testosterone. However, as I've detailed before, these stacks alone aren't going to necessarily address hair loss head on. So therefore, in addition to those hormone therapy regimens, what people who are suffering from hair loss concerns may typically add on is things like topical or oral minoxidil. They might elect for oral or topical finasteride or dutasteride, plus or minus things like PRP, microneedling, or low-level laser light therapy. Because what these additional measures are going to do is actually target the underlying hair loss condition head on. However, even with these additional therapies, you are not necessarily going to wind the clock back 10 to 20 years if you've got moderate to advanced androgenic alopecia. So what's going to happen in individuals that have transitioned from biological male to female form is that when they're using a hormone therapy regimen, and then in addition to that, they're using those targeted hair loss therapies that I've discussed, they're likely going to, at best, wake up those follicles that have been switched off for anywhere from 2, maybe 3 years at a push. So if they have more advanced hair loss to begin with, yes, that's when they're likely going to benefit if they want to really feminize their hairline, which would quite likely be the case. If they want to feminize the hairline and give a much more fuller rounded hairline, which is different obviously from a male hairline, well, then an important part of that aesthetic would be potentially to add in things like hair transplants, and if they don't have enough donor follicles because they've got more advanced hair loss, then things like hair pieces might be used at the same time. Some individuals might even look at things like natural hair wigs if they've got really significant bald. And then, as I touched on earlier, biological females who are transitioning into the male form are going to have to now get into a position where they need to address hair loss head on, because even though they're going to take on a male aesthetic, having a male aesthetic with a receding hairline might not necessarily be the desired outcome. So to try and halt the loss with targeted hair loss therapies to counter the effects of testosterone in the system, such as with things that block the 5-alpha reductase conversion of testosterone to DHT, things like finasteride, dutasteride, these sorts of things would be really important, because then that can really slow the progression of hair loss in those individuals. And for those that stabilize the hair loss and then want to improve the hairline even further, they might also look into things like surgical interventions with transplants, plus or minus additional things like hair pieces. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much again for your question. This is a really nuanced topic. It's obviously a sensitive topic. So if you are watching this and you are someone who transitioned and you felt that the language that I used wasn't sensitive enough, please, as both a human and a doctor, I want to make sure that I get that language really right. So please feel free to either reach out to me directly or comment in the comment section and correct me. I want to make sure that that language is as sensitive as it can be, but please update me if I could do even better. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've learned some interesting things from this particular topic, and I look forward to seeing you next week as I'm bringing you another video on current, new and emerging hair loss therapies to good hair and good health. Cheers.